Yeah, very, very challenging. Having watched San Antonio in the build-up to this, the product on the field was nothing short of the very intense and competitive group that I expected. With a mixed group that we had, trying to get the balance of guys that are looking to cut their teeth and make an impression. As an example, Ethan Zubak, now that we've obviously lost CJ, it was a big opportunity for Ethan to make a bit of a claim for minutes towards the first team. I thought the balance was about right, but some of those guys just found it a little bit difficult to get to the pace of the game early on, maybe because that was a lack of playing time for some of them. But all in all, a good win here, and we get the opportunity to go into the draw tomorrow and see where that takes us.
We saw some new faces at the back line, including the keeper as well. Any specific player impressed that you saw might challenge for those starting jobs going forward?
Yeah, Lawrence and Josh have not seen an awful lot of football. We saw a bit of a cameo performance from Josh against LAFC. Both of those guys are very, very genuine individuals. I do think they need a little bit more time at this level to adapt and, to put themselves in a competitive position. I thought the pick of maybe the defensive group, if we're going outside of some of the usual faces, I thought Jack and Daniel did a very, very good job. But I thought Elliot played very, very well. A couple of saves that he needed to make, his aerial dominance, if you like, whether it was coming to catch or punch, took a lot of pressure off of that back line, given the sort of delivery and physical presence that San Antonio had. And it's been a little while since Elliot's been in the group. So, he himself will have needed some time and some minutes to get to the pace of it. But I thought he did a very good job in that back line.
Gary, you mentioned about Ethan and his opportunity. What do you see on him today, specifically, that you really like in terms of him playing that spot that you were talking about?
Well, we've seen Ethan before, of course, and so has everyone else. And he's been around the group for a good while. Ethan has an awful lot of genuine qualities. He's a very, very hard-working lad, very honest individual. Physically, he gives us some nice presence, and he's athletically in a really good place. And Ethan's challenge right now is to do exactly what he's done tonight, is to find more moments, more opportunities, and be cleaner in front of goal. A lot of the build-up play, a lot of his, mid-third play, hold-up play is very decent. Yes, of course, it can be cleaned up like a lot of forwards, but I think it's that in and around the penalty area, finding those moments, sensing a goal-scoring situation, and tonight's goal will give him a real big boost. There's no doubt about it. And we're all looking for that person, somebody who's going to make a bit of a difference, somebody who's in a confident mood, someone who can see a moment that nobody else is and make a difference in a game, because tonight it's been the winning goal. Yeah, I thought he made a massive difference to your point, Ben. His experience, his physical presence, he uses his body well. I think everyone can understand that I was sparing with the minutes with Teal for obvious reasons. Having lost CJ now, there are physically some gaps in that front line, and Teal obviously fills that immediately well. We've already spoken about Ethan, that present something different. But I do think we have the ability with the type of attackers that we've got. You've seen tonight we played in a 3-4-3. I thought Jacob did a wonderful job. Fafa was terrific when he came on. Instrumental in the goal, of course. And with Randall coming back as well, and not to mention Hanny, of course, there is the ability to be a little bit more creative with that front line. Of course, CJ will be a big loss as a person and a player. But I do think that there are individuals that, given the opportunity, can maybe stake a bit of a claim for that front line position. No, make no mistake. I wanted to win the game. If it had gone according to plan, we'd have been 2 or 3 goals in front, and I wouldn't have used them for sure. I felt as though there was a necessity to add a little bit of extra sparkle or intensity to that front line, and the 2 guys we've spoken about, Fafa and Teal, did exactly that. As far as Shaq's concerned, he's had a lot of football. He's been away with the national team. I know he didn't play, but being away and travelling, of course, is a little bit of an extra drain for him personally. But I just thought we needed that in the last 10 or 15 minutes just to see the game out and to get us over the line. I do want to make a bit of a comment on Joey Desart coming into the group. Joey's done ever so well down at Huntsville. And I know we haven't touched on that anywhere in this conversation yet, but I think that starts to see a bit of a pipeline coming from Huntsville. That group down there, of course, in their infancy, but Joey's somebody who's already had MLS exposure at Orlando, and he's been a very good presence down there and deserved his minutes tonight. And if the circumstances had been better, maybe they'd got a little bit longer, but unfortunately, that wasn't to be.
Before we go on to another question here in the room, we are going to also transition and use this opportunity to ask you about the game versus Atlanta, since we won't have much time tomorrow. Your thoughts on how you're preparing and positioning the team now towards that game?
Well, it's a short week, of course, in terms of preparation given tonight's game. I'm sure they'll be feeling exactly the same. We have a couple of days to get ourselves together. Given tonight's exploits, and by that I mean the likes of Jack and Daniel who shared the game, and Alex having 45 minutes and Jacob only playing an hour. I think the balance of minutes for those guys now having got over a very difficult hurdle leaves them in a good position, and me in a good position to get pick a competitive but reasonably fresh team. In many ways, in terms of workload, those guys will not have done any more than they would normally have done in any given week. So in terms of my mindset and of course our prep for Atlanta, the next 2 days are going to be instrumental.
Gary, the fact that Atlanta just lost the game against Memphis in the cup, besides the fact that they're a great team, one of the best in the league anyways, does that open any type of opportunity in terms of psychologically, in terms of what they might bring, because of it's not easy for a big team to you lose again on the premium.
No, of course. And I've just said to the guys in there, I've always felt the cup competitions are something that you should be going out and enjoying, those one-off games. If you can get yourself in a good run, and tonight starts that in the cup, it can create some real confidence and buoyancy around the group. Because we've had a lot of guys tonight that have not seen the field a lot. We've spoken about that. And now they're part of the group. They've been part of a winning game tonight. And it galvanises the team. So for all of the teams that have gone through, there'll be a nice upbeat feeling about their work tomorrow and towards the weekend. When you look at, and I've looked at the team obviously quickly that played tonight for Atlanta, I'm sure they'll look at that and say, it doesn't reflect really in any way, shape or form the group that will come out and play us at the weekend. So I'm sure that they'll push this to one side and they'll move forward and try and reinforce some very good league form.
En el juego de hoy y en el juego de la semana pasada, vimos que no había conexión entre medio campo y delantera. ¿Cómo corregir? ¿Qué podría hacer para corregirlo para el próximo juego contra Atlanta?
Tonight and in the past game, we saw that there was a lack of connection between the midfield and the attack. How are you looking to correct that?
Well, that's your opinion, first of all. I would say that if you're looking at tonight's game, then you're looking at a group of guys that have rarely stepped foot on the field together as a group. And I would contrast that and maybe correct that comment with saying that the first 45 minutes against LAFC was possibly the best football that we've played here in the start of, or the first 9 games of the season. So I'm not sure that connection is the right word. Creation, clear-cut creation, and execution when we get there has been a bit of a problem for the group. But I don't think connection, energy, enthusiasm, and positivity has in any way, shape or form been an issue.
Gary, you have a personal connection with the city of Atlanta, of course, and then these two clubs have a lot of shared memories. What are your thoughts on this rivalry so far, and where do you see it going?
Well, it's been a terrific one. I have to say that first and foremost. I mean, we've had some wonderful games against them. They obviously put us in our place. First game of our very first season in front of 60,000 people, and I think a lot of the players and the staff have remembered that. And in the games that we've played them subsequently, they've been very, very competitive. We've had some really good games at their place, and there's been some very, very challenging games here. And the one I remember mostly was actually the Open Cup game, where, I think it was in extra time, overtime, that strangely enough, Ethan scored the winning goal. So there have been some very, very tight affairs. They're a hugely talented team. There's a lot of respect for what they are able to put on the field. This year in particular, with probably a more healthy and fresher group, you're seeing, I think, some fabulous football. So it'll be hugely challenging. Will it be any different to last weekend and the challenge we ran into with LAFC? I suspect not. Atlanta have game-changing players. Rujo and Almeida have been fantastic. So we'll look forward to it. We'll be ready for it. We'll turn around in a confident mood, and we'll look forward to doing our very utmost to try and get all 3 points of the weekend.
Walker Zimmerman, you said in the presser after the game last Saturday that he left the game early due to some groin tightness. How is that process going?
Well, I also said I hoped I got him off the field at the right time. And I'd been informed at halftime that his groin was tightening up. And it can sometimes happen as the guys cool down in that break. I do believe I got him off at the right time. Walker's reaction to the last couple of days has been very good. I don't think there's any lasting damage there or any serious damage. And he's certainly progressing in the right way towards the weekend. I think the next 2 days are going to be very important, though. We've had 3 days of what we would class as rehabilitation and maybe some treatment and some light activity. There's been no reaction to that. So tomorrow and Friday will be very important to the team and to Walker as to how he prepares for the weekend.
what have you seen out of him so far this year? And the early buzz is that he's front runner right now for the MVP. So how exciting would it be to have a guy who's having an outstanding start to the season on the field, potentially with Hani, who's obviously the reigning MVP?
It's amazing, right? Last weekend, Bowenga is, favourite for MVP. This week, Almeida's favourite for MVP. Everyone's got an MVP. I think he's a hugely talented player. I'm just stating the obvious. I think the most difficult thing when I watch him play and I watch Atlanta play is that he pops up in so many creative pockets. There's no stereotypical, this is what he's going to do, this is how he's going to do it. And I think all the best players are like that. If you think back to last weekend and Bowenga, where he scores from, where he picks the ball up from, it really is a trademark of the best players. And, of course, we have one in our group, as you've mentioned. I think he'll be inspired, as he was last week, to perform and to keep his good run going. There's no better stage than against the likes of LAFC and Atlanta. You've got to put those teams in the same category and bracket. They're top sides with some tremendous talent. And this young man is certainly, as you say, making a push at this stage of the season to be, in that shake-up for MVP. Yeah, and his injury, from what I gather, was a very serious one, and it's, those Achilles injuries can sometimes be very, very difficult to recover from. But he's a young man. He's a very athletic and healthy young man. He looks to me like he's come back, in similar form to how he left, which is, testimony probably to the player and to the medical staff at their club. I do think that the balance of players in those central defensive positions are vital. And what Miles gives that team is a fantastic athleticism. He is a good defender, but he's also a pristine athlete. And he's obviously proven at the very top level that with the ball at his feet, he's also very, very capable. But he has a guy alongside him. He's a very different guy. He's a little bit more of what you would class as an old school centre-back, who I think is very decent in the air, also capable on the floor. But I think the partnership is a very, very good one. And that has underpinned a really decent start to the season for them.
Yeah, it's just another incredible day. I talked to you guys before the game, and I did tell you, that I did want to score a goal and I did want to make an impact on the game. So whenever you could say something like that and it comes to fruition, that's just an amazing feeling. So, and I think most importantly, winning the game and going to the next round is such an amazing feeling. So I'm just happy, and it's the only word I can find to describe my feelings right now.
Question on the floor?
Ethan, as much as it's been frustrated for you at the start games like you're in this club before, how different is the feeling tonight? Not only about the score and winning the game, but also your performance.
Yeah, you're right. I definitely get frustrated, not starting games, obviously, in the league. So when this opportunity does come, and obviously I can score a goal and break out of the cycle, it just feels amazing. It's a change in my, overall feeling. I love, obviously, being there as a part of the team for the guys, even when I can't play, and that's definitely who I want to be. Play, don't. I definitely want to be a part of this team because it's an amazing group, and I think they're capable of doing amazing things. But what feels even better for me is when I can contribute on the field and obviously score a goal. So tonight, was definitely an amazing feeling.
Go ahead, Jacob. No, go over there.
Yeah, Ethan, tonight, obviously a lineup that, kind of a new look lineup, haven't really seen play together a lot. I guess, what kind of confidence does that give you that, you guys were able to come in really kind of first time playing together and, get a win?
Yeah. I think that's definitely an understated challenge for sure. I think that, obviously everyone will see MLS side plays USL side. And we should be getting a win, which I think still is true, especially with the capability that we have in our second group. But I will say, yeah, I think I was impressed with a lot of the guys today. I knew that we always have that in us. I think we're a team that does have, that is very deep. And I think we could see that in the preseason when we played together. We played against good groups and did well. So it doesn't surprise me per se, but I'm proud of the group, and I think it's cool that we were able to come together, like you said, and still have chemistry.
Ethan, we saw you try a lot, you and as the group as a whole, try a lot in the first half and also kind of the beginning of the first half. What changed that made you, score eventually? What happened?
Yeah, well, I guess a big thing I could say, just jumping right to obviously the goal, is that our subs that came on were phenomenal. I think Fafa, the energy he brought was amazing, so I want to attribute obviously the big portion of that goal that he contributed. So amazing by Faf. I think Teal brought a ton of energy in there when he came in. Dan Lovitz played amazing when he came in. So, I mean, the guys were already, I think, playing well, but I think we just needed another burst of energy in the second half, which is what you really want from your subs. So these guys that we brought on have so much experience, so I think that brought a lot of energy. But I also think that, we also, understood at halftime, we came together and understood what we needed to do. We sat down, we talked, and we figured out exactly how we wanted to execute the second half, and I think that we did a good job of it.
Any more questions on the floor before we go to Zoom? We'll start with Ben and then Tim. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, Ethan, so we talked, I guess, before the game about how you just wanted to take your opportunities, and maybe we were a little bit frustrated that you haven't been on the field as much. Since we talked, CJ was traded, and then you had a strong performance. Just how important it is to you, obviously, to get the win, but to take these opportunities when you get them and to put in a strong performance and hopefully push for a bigger role going forward?
Yeah, definitely. It's important for sure. I would say every opportunity from now on is definitely somewhere where I have something to prove, at least for myself, every game, so that I can get more opportunities. The older you get as a player, the more mature you get as a player, the more you understand that you can't take any games or minutes for granted. So every opportunity I do get going forward, I will definitely cherish. So if Gary puts his trust in me coming forward, no matter when it is, I'll be ready. And I definitely want to take more advantage of those opportunities.
Ben, do you have a follow-up? Tim?
Ethan, I want you to walk me through what you saw on the play. Obviously, Fafa, gets in the duel and comes away with the ball. You make the hard run. How did you see that as it was developing, as it unfolded?
Yeah, it's funny. I actually got pushed to the wing at the end of the game, and Teal came on and he told me, he said, you're coming on the wing, but, still try to come forward and try to link up with the forwards. So I said, okay. And it was my goal, obviously, we're still tied. We needed a goal. So, the moment I saw Fafa take off, it was all about just taking a risk. I think that we needed something. So right when he took the ball from the defender, I just took off and sprinted to get, as hard as I can to the front of the goal. It's all about being in dangerous spots and making plays happen. So that was what I was trying to do. If you put yourself in dangerous spots, there's a chance that you're going to score goals. If you don't, then you're for sure not going to score goals. So I just had to give myself a chance.
Tim, any more? Before we let Ethan go, just thoughts on Atlanta, what they bring to the attack, and what you're looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah, Atlanta's obviously always such a really good side, talent-wise especially, so it's going to be a different challenge for sure. And obviously a quick turnaround. This is our first, 3-game week in 7 days, so we're excited. I think the guys have, some momentum going forward. And we're just excited going forward to get some more MLS games under the belt. So, hopefully I can get an opportunity and contribute what I can to the group, and hopefully we can come out with another win on Saturday.